Welcome to the grand opening celebration of the John C. Kittemeyer Instructional Laboratories. What a great night for us to explore the future of chemical and biological engineering instruction. To begin our program, it is my great pleasure to introduce Chancellor Jennifer L. Mnookin. Chancellor Mnookin is the 30th leader in the university's 175-year history. During Chancellor Mnookin's tenure here, the university has been designated as a national center for innovation and economic prosperity, and has been recognized as one of the top institutions in the country for expanding opportunities for our students to engage in cutting-edge research and public service in the proud tradition of the Wisconsin idea. Please join me in welcoming Chancellor Mnookin.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you for keeping the momentum going on this amazing collaboration and finding just very creative ways for alumni at all levels to take part. I really appreciate your introduction. I also have to say I appreciate your radio voice. Doesn't he have quite the radio voice? Very impressive. You're going to have to give us all lessons in that as well. So good evening, everyone. This is a celebration, so we're going to bring that up just one more time. Good evening, everyone. Nice. Very, very well done. I'm just so happy to be here with all of you as we celebrate this transformation that will take a program that is already among the very best in the country to a whole nother level of excellence. I really want to add my thanks as well to Greg Kittemeyer for being here, and for being here both in his own, as himself, and also representing his father, John. I know we also have a number of other family members present, so raise your hand if you're connected to the Kittemeyers so we can recognize you, and let's give you a round of applause. Thank you for being here, and thank you for what your family has done to make this pretty incredible space possible. I'm told that John's daughter Kathy and his dear friend Diane, among with many others, are sending a long-distance hello and thank you for helping to make this moment possible. And of course, the biggest long-distance thanks of all goes to John Kittemeyer himself, who would be here today if he could, and who I know is with us in spirit. John is a proud Badger, and he was a first-generation college student who's never forgotten the high school teacher who first encouraged him to study chemical engineering. Those who know him best will tell you that he's incredibly humble and determined, that he's hardworking, and he's a person who seeks simple and economical solutions to important problems. I'd say that's a pretty good description of a Badger, right? And these new spaces, these quite extraordinary new spaces, I think reflect that ethic. I suspect most of you, maybe all of you, I hope, have heard something about our plans to build a new building for the College of Engineering. Thank you for that round of applause that we're able to go forward with that project. It was a long time coming, but it's very exciting that we got there, and it is thanks to the work and advocacy and the generosity of many of you in this room right now. We're really excited about the new facility, but at the same time, we recognize that new buildings take lots of time, lots and lots of money, and lots of approvals over which sometimes we don't have as much control as we would like. And so it's equally important that we reimagine and transform existing spaces in ways that can also dramatically change teaching and learning, and to help us accommodate the extraordinary demand from our students. And this is also a top priority across campus and a significant priority for me. And you've just created and envisioned a model for doing that tremendously well. And so I thank you for that, because yes, we need the new buildings, but we also need to make the best possible use of our existing facilities to be able to do great things, and to remember that that's just as important for the educational experience, the research opportunities, and the greatness of everything we're aiming to do here at UW-Madison. I want to say a word about the major supporters who have been our partners along the road to reach this day. Matt and Beth Koenig, thank you so much for the leadership gift. What you did transformed the B103 lab, which is a space that has special meaning. I hear that it's actually where you met as students. True? I'm glad it's true because it's a really good story, so we were going to have to go with it regardless, but I'm glad it's also even accurate. And thank you for being longtime generous supporters of the college. I got a chance to say hello earlier, and they told me that they enjoyed being at my home for an event. You know, we have tailgates and other things. And so I said, if I invite you back next year, will you make another gift like this? Because, you know, anyone who wants to jump in on that, let's talk, right? Thank you so much for what you've done. Mike and Ginny Conway, thank you as well. I see you right here. Thank you for creating the Conway Collaboratory Space and for helping to create transformative programs across campus, for which we are so grateful. I've talked to you before about what you've done with the amazing adaptive fitness space. It really is. Anyone here who hasn't been to the Bakke building in general, have you been there? Yes? No? If you haven't, go and check out the amazing adaptive fitness space. And you've also given very generously to professorships and graduate fellowships, the Teacher Pledge Program, kinesiology, and now this collaboratory. Thank you. Let's give you another round of applause. Don Baldovin, where are you? There, great. I just got to meet you a few minutes ago, and I know you've named the pilot plant area. For those of you who might have noticed just a few other labs here with Don's name on them, this is in fact the 5th. When we need to move quickly to build out a lab for a new faculty member or a new research project, you've been there. You've helped make it happen, and we are very, very grateful. Thank you. The Hill and Rolke families have also named classroom spaces in honor of Professor Emeritus Dr. Charlie Hill, who had a deep impact on this department and on our students in his nearly 4 decades on our faculty. And Dr. Rolke, an alum who built his life around service to others in the proud tradition of the Wisconsin idea. And so let's thank them for their generosity as well. We are extraordinarily lucky to have so many alums and friends who care about this institution and care about making it a step stronger tomorrow than it is today, and who care about giving in ways that let us move forward with exciting opportunities to improve our physical plant, but not just for the sake of, patting ourselves on the back or making it shiny, but to make it able to work better for the core purposes of education and research and outreach. And so I want to close with one more thanks to John Kittemeyer and his family for the leadership gift that made this day possible and for dedicating your family's philanthropy to helping motivate students to learn and succeed, just like your dad had that incredible experience with a teacher that changed his life. That's what education can do, and that's what education can do here at UW-Madison. And so congratulations to everybody in this room for the ways that you've made a difference in all of the ways that you have made a difference. And thank you for what you've done for this amazing new space. And now I want you to say it with me. On the count of 3, we're going to say "On Wisconsin," just as loud as we said hooray. So 1, 2, 3, on Wisconsin. Thank you all.
So thank you, Chancellor Mnookin, for joining us today and for all of your support. Next, I would like to introduce Dean Ian Robertson, the Granger Dean of the University of Wisconsin-Madison College of Engineering, and please share some remarks.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the College of Engineering, I'd like to welcome you to this event today. This event is the end of an era for Summer Lab. Summer Lab will no longer be conducted in the dark. And why? It's the beginning of a new era. Students will be able to see sunlight, daylight, while they're taking Summer Lab. that is just incredible and a transformation in the department. It's also the culmination of many years of wishing, dreaming, planning, and construction. If you studied chemical engineering in the 1970s, should we ask for a show of hands who did that? There'll be quite a few of you. And you're probably going to tell me my notes are completely wrong when I say that you probably thought this was an innovative space with state-of-the-art equipment. Okay, so I'm not going to read my last remarks because it says that it was at that time. But apparently that wasn't the sentiment that you have and the memory you have. But we do know that our world has changed and the field of chemical engineering has advanced incredibly. We also know that chemical engineering has a proud legacy of just leadership in the nation. It's been a stunning department when you look back at its history. I want to say thanks to all of you because that unvarying vision, determination, the financial support of many people will ensure that chemical engineering at UW-Madison is going to remain at the forefront of chemical engineering departments across our nation. We will continue to produce some of the very, very best chemical engineers who will go on to great things to help solve problems as you have all done. We intend to continue our tradition. As you walk around this space and you look at it, I hope you get this sense of excitement, a momentum that just exists in this space. It's got expanded capabilities. It is going to provide unprecedented opportunities for current and future engineering students to put their education into practice. In this space, our chemical engineers will be able to conduct experiments at multiple scales. The two-story distillation tower will allow students to work as though they were in a chemical plant. The hard hat lab space includes pilot-scale equipment for chemical, biological, and food-grade experiments. We've also designed the space for maximum flexibility and reconfigurability. In other words, we've made it easy for instructors and for us to reconfigure this space as the needs of the department change as we go forward. And one of the things that we've strived to do in all of the renovations that are going on in the college and in the new building that the Chancellor mentioned is that we want our spaces to be adaptable for the future. I think this space just shows you where we are heading. We've also added other infrastructure in this space. It includes some classrooms, meeting spaces, stock rooms, a chemical storage vault, so that our students, faculty, staff really do have everything that they need to be successful right here in the basement. Chemical engineers one day will get you out of the basement, right? But if you think of the space, it's just truly exceptional. It's designed to foster communication, collaboration, and have our students look and do things that look like the real world, what they're going to do out there in practice. I would say it is a model for instructional labs that we will design into the future. It is an example, and I can point to Brian Flager and say Brian's been instrumental in helping us design the labs, both the instructional and the research labs in the new building space. So it's going to look something like this. We're in good shape. So one of the other things I really like about the space is it does put engineering on display. Right? No longer do you walk along the hallways and wonder what's going on behind those doors. You can now see, and I expect to come here and see students actually working. So I think this is how all our labs will be. We want people to walk past here and go, engineering's cool. And I think as we walk past these spaces, that's what they'll say. Many people have been involved in getting us to this point, among them a dedicated group of faculty and staff. I'm not going to name all of you individually, but I want you to know that we value the time and the thought you have devoted to realizing the vision for this space. So I'd like to ask everyone to please join me in thanking all of the faculty and the staff that worked on this It's remarkable. The Chancellor touched on the importance of the philanthropic support to this building and making this happen. Like everything I do with the Badger engineers, when we say, here's our vision, here's where we're going, you then say, how can we help you? You turn around and you always support us. You enthusiastically give and help. I can't thank you enough for doing that. This space would not be possible without all of you. So on behalf of the college and all of the students that are going to come through here in the future, thank you. I think this is going to be just an incredible space. So thank you again for being here, for helping us celebrate the opening, and for helping make this space a reality. Thank you.
So thank you, Dean Robertson. You certainly captured the great impact that this laboratory will have on generations of CBE students to come. As you mentioned, the CBE instructional laboratories did not change much over many years. In fact, I can vouch that back in the 1990s, when I was a student in the laboratories across the hall, things looked very similar to when this project started in the fall of 2022. Literally, I think some of my stuff still may have been there. In fact, I had no idea there were windows. We've heard about the windows. I've talked to people tonight. I had no idea that there were windows in that laboratory across the hall. They were there the whole time. They were hidden by an intertwined mess of pipes and ductwork. So now that's been opened up, and in the morning you get great sunlight in there. So now as you look at these spaces, you have ample natural light in both labs, and Ian Robertson noted we're on display, right? So some students may not like that, but I actually love it because people will go down the hallways and see the exciting work that chemical and biological engineers are doing. What has been notable as I've had conversations with many alumni in my role as department chair is that almost everyone talks about their experiences in the instructional laboratories, period. While people have referred to entering the old laboratory spaces as entering a medieval dungeon, Matt Koenig's used this earlier this week, by the way. Believe it or not, other less flattering terms have been used, particularly when we experience these spaces as students. Nearly all the alumni that I speak to note the transformational educational experiences that they received as part of the CBE laboratory courses. I predict with these new laboratories, we will hear similar stories for decades to come about how Summer Lab and its inherent open-ended problem solving have helped pave the road for career success. To get where we are today, there were countless hours spent envisioning, designing, and building a world-class chemical and biological engineering instructional laboratory space. Although I will not be able to individually identify everybody and thank everybody that has contributed to this instructional palace that you are in today. Notice I said palace, kind of not the medieval dungeon, right? I would like to take an opportunity now to call attention to several key figures in the process. First, I would like to recognize Professor Emerita Regina Murphy. So, during her tenure as department chair, she was a primary driver for getting the laboratory renovation project off the ground with fundraising and design efforts. And since then, Regina's worked on every aspect of the project, continuing to contribute even after retirement. So that, my friends, is dedication. So let's give her a round of applause. Our summer laboratory director, Professor Thatcher Root. Teaching faculty, Dr. Kate Dahlke, she's up on the balcony. And undergraduate laboratory director, Dr. Eric Kodner, who I'm not sure if he's able to be with us tonight. He is the one building all of this from scratch. They all worked as a team to brainstorm ideas about what laboratory attributes could transform the modern educational experience for undergraduates. And so you're seeing the fruit of those labors here tonight. Professor Brian Flegger was already called out, but he should be commended for his active role during each step of the process. So we couldn't obviously have done a project of this magnitude without the support of campus. So thank you, Chancellor Mnuchin, and of course the College of Engineering. So thank you, Dean Robertson, for your help with this project. So probably most importantly, we could not have accomplished our goals of providing new generations of students with these laboratory opportunities without the help of many generous people in this room. In fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask you for a little more help, okay? We need to christen this column. So when you arrived, most of you took advantage of the opportunity to pour some of your Badger blood, sweat, and tears. So imagine back to when you were a student there, okay? So into what will become our initial charge to the distillation column. So as you can see, we're a little bit short of the full charge here. Each one of these little Erlenmeyer flasks in front of me here represent a foundational gift. Thus, as I describe the named spaces that we have throughout the labs tonight, I would ask that the donor representatives come up, help us top off the charge for the distillation column by adding one of these Erlenmeyer flasks into the larger flask on the table. So with that, the complex of laboratories that you have been exploring this evening, there's more than just the back room with the food and drink, okay? So if you haven't done so, keep looking around, has been officially unveiled as the John C. Kittemeyer Instructional Laboratories. Greg, could you please come up and help charge the column? In order to even begin a project of this scale, an advanced planning and initial design phase is required. These were made possible by the generous support of Roger Harrison. Roger, could you please come up and help charge the column? Across the hall, you will see the Beth and Matt Koenig's Chemical Engineering Sciences Laboratories. Here we will host Transport Phenomena Lab, informal summer laboratory experiments, and molecular level analytics. Beth and Matt, could you please come up and help charge the column? Within the Beth and Matt Koenig's labs, you will also see the Conway Collaboratory, which is outfitted with reconfigurable benches, fume hoods, and a new chemical stockroom. Here, teams of CBE students will collaborate to design, test, and analyze chemical and biological processes. Mike and Jenny, could you please come up and help us charge the column? So proximal to the Conway Collaboratory, you will also find the Charles G. Hill Jr. Memorial Classroom, made possible by a gift from the Dorothy L. Smith Trust. This classroom provides a lecture and study space that is separate from the laboratory spaces that can be used for instruction and collaboration. Deb, Betsy, and Cynthia, could you please come up and help charge the column? Within the laboratory spaces across the hall, you may have seen there are also several rigs used in the Transport Phenomena Lab. These allow for flexible reconfiguration to adapt to new experiments. One rig was made possible by generous support from Margaret Blackwood Allen and Peter Allen. Margaret and Peter, could you please come up and help charge the column? Another rig was made possible by generous support from the Ittrey family. Kevin, could you please come up and help charge the column? As an aside, Kevin was a student of mine when I first started, so I'm feeling pretty old right now. And an additional rig was made possible by the generous support from the Gromacki family. Mike, could you please come up and help charge the column? So within the Beth and Matt Koenig's laboratories, you'll also find the Harry and Bonnie Spiegelberg faculty office and the Roland A. Ragatz faculty office that can accommodate visiting professors throughout the entire year. So looking out the back of the lab that we're in right now, you will also see the UW-CBE history wall, made possible by the generous support from Franz and Karen Altpeter. Here, the amazing history of our department will be chronicled so that future generations understand what a transformative impact that Badger CBE engineers make. Franz and Karen, please come up and help charge the column. So the students will have ample opportunity to learn about UW-CBE history as they congregate, study, and collaborate in the adjacent Jensen Family Student Lounge, which is also up on the deck behind you. after doing their laboratory sessions. Mike and Mary, could you please come up and help charge the column? So the room we are now in is part of the Donald Baldwin Process Operation Laboratories. As you can see, the acquisition of this two-story space from the College of Engineering allowed the expansion of the CBE labs to accommodate true pilot-scale process equipment and chemical, biological, and food-grade experiments. Don, could you please help us charge the column? Within the Baldwin Process Operation Labs, you will also see the Roger W. Rolke classroom, offering a key second instructional and collaboration space proximal to the distillation column and other process equipment. Judy, could you please come up and help charge the column? So next to me, you will see the distillation column that has been carefully rebuilt to the delight of those who fondly remember this summer lab experiment as one of the most real life and enjoyable. I don't know, did anybody shoot alcohol out the wall? Oh, out the roof, wall, roof. Okay, so it's enjoyable. So the column was made possible by the generous support of Gerald Batiste. Jerry and Luis, could you please come up and help charge the column? Behind me, you will see the food-grade laboratory that has been outfitted with brewing equipment made possible with equipment provided by Tom Neiman and Foxtown Brewing. Finally, on the glass wall near where you entered and picked up your badges, you will find a host of other contributors on the process flow sheet. Mike Ross was a lead donor in that effort, and thus we ask Mike, as a representative for all of those donors, to please come up and help charge the column. So we now have assembled our first charge for the distillation column, a charge that is truly reflective of the collective Wisconsin CBE effort to accomplish something amazing. I think if you look around, that's a true statement. I would now like to ask Regina to come forward and officially open the John C. Kittemeyer Instructional Laboratories by adding the charge to the column. Thank you, Regina, and thank you everyone for joining us on this very special event today. Please continue to enjoy each other's company, look around a little bit more, and as the Chancellor said, on Wisconsin.